Hi guys and gals, my name is Beau Hindman. I work for Massively.com, a site that covers MMORPGs you might be familiar with. I also have written a little bit for Games.com, which covers casual games, and I'm just now starting to write for DroidGamers.com. In fact, today I am writing a review for the Nexus 7 tablet for them. So that's basically who I am, and that's all I do is play games.
Hello and welcome everyone to another MMO Anthropology. As you can see, we're here in RuneScape and I have Beau with me. My first question for you is, why did you choose RuneScape to hold the interview?
It's easy to get into. You can run it anywhere, and I have literally 200 games bookmarked on my browser, and probably about 30 or 40 I can play on my computer. So it's one of my favorites.
That's a good reason, especially it's free to play and it runs right out of the browser, which is definitely accessibility plus.
Well, and the thing is, if you follow RuneScape, and a lot of 20-year-olds, 25-year-old, basically people who grew up with the internet, which I'm older to where I didn't grow up with the internet. By the time the internet came, I was already, an adult. But the thing is, a lot of the kids that had grown up with it, it was their first game, and so a lot of people see it kind of as a kid's game. But it really is. It's one of the most hardcore games you can play. In fact, John Smedley, from Sony, told me one time how hardcore it was. He was just like raving about it. He's like, that game is hardcore, and it really is. If you want it to be, there's a million skills. It's very sandbox, but there's quests everywhere. And if this is your first time in the game, I am absolutely shocked. You have got to play through the tutorial area, and you'll realize that it's really one of the best games out there. Now, graphically, I think it turns off people a lot, but I chose it just because of that reason. It's an accessible, easy game.
So, you have a really interesting looking character here. Can you tell us a little bit about your wolf's helmet and the other bits of armor that you're wearing?
The wolf's head was an event drop, I believe. Let me see. I think you can take that off. There's like your hair. The cape you get. Let me see if I can turn around for your camera if you can see that or whatever. But the cape you get in the beginning area, one of the beginning areas. This is actually, it's kind of like if you declare kind of loyalty to a certain town, you can get that cape, and you can actually, as you level it up, you can decorate it in different ways. And I've just turned it white to kind of match the wolf's hood. These pants and stuff I have on, most of this stuff is just what you would call appearance armor. It's just, you get it through loyalty rewards. Loyalty rewards are for people who subscribe. So although RuneScape is free to play, it really is, you get most of the gameplay out of paying a subscription. You really do. Free members aren't super limited, but they're definitely more limited than a member. But it's like $5 a month or something. It's one of the best deals out there. So mine's the particular outfit I'm wearing is just a mix. I was just playing around with. I have like 12,000 outfits. So
Nice. Well, the next question would be, what MMO games have you played? But since I'm sure you played tons of them, I'm going to make it a question more like, what MMO games bring you back?
Oh, what brings me back to an MMO will probably be accessibility, although you just disappeared. There you are.
Yeah, it just kicked me out.
Yeah, it'll do that sometimes. Accessibility, I'm kind of the guy on Massive that covers a lot of the browser games. I do a mobile column. I think that mobile and browser is the next wave. I mean, there's more smartphones out there, and there will be more coming soon. Very, very soon, especially if you look at the China's market, as in hundreds of millions soon, So I look really at accessibility. Gameplay is great, of course. I like more of a sandbox style game, but I do enjoy a good dungeon now and then. But customization is really important. I don't like Rift. I didn't really enjoy because it was so funneled. Like you just kind of got tossed into the action instead of like this game. You just wander around and you find the action if you want. So it depends on the factors, but I play so many games. Really, it is hard to really pinpoint that. I do have my favorites though.
So, how has online gaming and playing in MMOs changed your experience?
Well, it's given me a job, and that's a major way. I started with Massively about 2.5 years ago. I kept a blog for several years. In fact, I've been blogging since about 2002, but I kept a games blog for about 5 years back. And if anybody's wondering how you get hired as a writer, you just start writing, and you wait for an opening on a job. And in my particular case, the job kind of came along to me because I was already covering the subject they wanted me to cover. So it really has turned into not only a job but a hobby. I mean, it's what I do 24/7, pretty much. And my wife works on a game, so she works with me, and we're both out of the house. So it really has changed our lifestyles completely. It's not just gaming; it's an entire community of players and events and all sorts of stuff. So I mean, in a million ways, I guess is the short answer.
No, that's really awesome. So that kind of a little bit leads into my next question, which is, how do you use online games differently from other more static entertainment?
I enjoy more static entertainment, like occasional console type games. I'm way into mobile single player games, but MMOs are just the thing that people don't understand about them is it's the persistent world aspect that you just don't find in other games. I think one day even single-player games will have an MMO aspect to them just because the technology will allow it to make it easier, I just think that there's an importance there that people, if you're an MMO fan, you really have to kind of encourage other people to. You kind of have to spread the message, I guess, is the way is what I'm trying to say. Because right now with social gaming and stuff like that, MMOs, I truly believe are in kind of some danger of eventually disappearing,
Because of games connecting themselves through Facebook and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could play a single-player game, let's say Gears of War, right? Mm-hmm. People love Gears of War. It's a popular game.
Yep.
And for those people who really enjoy that game, they can jump into a four-person... I don't know what the co-op is on that. I'm not sure. Two-person or whatever. And the term I always use is that it's social enough. And MMOs used to provide people with that social interaction, but now you can get that with just your friends, and you don't have to bother with all the trolls that are wandering around the MMO or something, So I think there's a danger there, but at the same time, the technology will probably open it up to where the single player games can hold more people. Mm-hmm. So while MMOs become less popular, single player games will become more like MMOs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes enough sense to me. I look at enough of these games that are trying to strongly integrate themselves into social media so that people can, bring themselves together while not exploring or interacting with a persistent world.
I think the problem with that, the problem I have with the discussion about social gaming, though, is that people give it a hard time, especially MMO players. And they absolutely should not. It's not a political party or something. It's just, and it's obviously successful for a reason. And social game fans are not just soccer moms that are home alone all day. This is a ridiculous stereotype.
That's true.
They're successful because they're fun and they attach you to your friends. So MMOs have a lot to learn from social gaming. But yeah, I think you're going to see more of that kind of a gaming style come out than MMOs. I mean, look at what just happened with SOTOR going free to play.
Right.
I mean, I can name you a million MMOs, but the large MMOs, the AAA ones, are going to be few and far between pretty soon, I believe.
Well, that was one of the reasons why most of the other people that I've interviewed continue to stay in things like World of Warcraft, is because it's kind of like the Facebook of MMOs. It's where a lot of people met their initial friends that they still game with, and they go back there to check up on them and stuff like that.
Right. And when I hear that, I think that's kind of strange because I started in '99 with Ultima. So by the time Warcraft came along, we had already established our MMO habit. So I know that there's a generation that grew up on World of Warcraft. There's also a generation that grew up on the game we're in right now, RuneScape. This is one of the most. I mean, it's hugely popular. They just hit 200 million accounts. Of course, it's not active players, but
Wow.
trust me, they're doing just fine. So it sounds a little bit strange for me to hear that, but yeah, I could completely see that. But for me, the thing is about MMOs is as soon as we got one or two, we wanted to explore more.
Right.
And I've realized that most players, probably at least 75%, or I'm just throwing a number out there, probably enjoy one or two games, MMOs. They don't really like to spread out like I do. So,
Right.
So I can see them calling it that. It's like, you go there and there's all your buddies hanging out.
Very true. So,
Yeah.
do you have an example of your best experience from an MMO game, like a story or an anecdote?
Oh my gosh.
Or
I have a trillion of them. Rhizome was a lot of fun. The time I spent in Rhizome, that was the first time I really got into blogging about a specific game. If you haven't played Rhizome, that's a fantastic game to look at. It was a very special time, I think. A particular story, man, I'd have to think about that. My goodness. I have too many stories about MMOs. This is one that's actually pertinent right now. One of my columns, I take a game per week and I play it for about 10, 12 hours. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but I do a first impressions, kind of like a preview of the game.
Right.
And this week I'm doing Face of Mankind, which is a little indie kind of a planet-side political EVE Online first-person shooter. It's really intense. And last night or the night before, I can't remember, we were caught in the middle of a big war, and it was one of the most exciting. It was really an hour of just intense fighting that was just so fun. At one point, he said, "Line up, everybody, hold the line," like just in the movies. And we formed a line, and sure enough, they all came at us, and we just sat there and shot them, and they fell. And so, every time I play a new MMO, I probably have at least one or two good memories with it. There's a rare few MMOs that kind of just irk me from the time I start playing them.
Excellent. Well, that's as many questions as I have for this interview. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to add for the audience?
No, I want to see that. I want to see this when it's done. It's really cool that you're doing this. I like the way that you're just kind of popping in the game and interviewing people. That's just it's good.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on this episode of MMO Anthropology. So everyone should thank Beau as we run off.
I would like to say one last thing.
Sure.
If they want to follow me on Twitter, do that at Beau_Hindman. They can email me at beau@massively.com, and of course read my articles on massively.com. But I'll watch for DroidGamers.com. I'll be tweeting when my first articles start popping up on there.
Excellent. I'll be sure to put that in the description as well, wherever this video shows up.
Oh, very good.
Okay, so to the rest of you, thank you for coming along for this episode of MMO Anthropology, and to everyone, good night and good dreams.
Do you play online games? Do you have Skype? Then we'd love to interview you on Massive Online Anthropology. Join the fascinating thousands who've spoken about their online gaming experience and be the envy of all your friends. Or at least get the MMO Anthropology Geek Merit Badge. Sorry, no t-shirt. See you then!